Forget everything you thought you knew about budget-friendly campers. The brand new 2026 Dacia Dokker Motorhome isn't just another compact van. It's a game changer that could completely disrupt the RV market. At first glance, it looks simple and unassuming, but inside, it hides features you'd expect from vehicles costing twice as much. Some say it's the most affordable motorhome Europe has ever produced. But can it really compete with America's big names in comfort, performance, and value? Stick around, because by the end of this review, you'll know whether the Dokker is the budget RV dream or just clever marketing. The 2026 Dacia Dokker Motorhome is here, and it's already turning heads for one reason. It promises to deliver the full RV experience at a fraction of the cost of its rivals. Dacia, a brand long known in Europe for building no-nonsense, value-packed vehicles, is now stepping into territory few expected, challenging the dominance of America's big RV makers with a compact camper that's affordable, practical, and surprisingly well-equipped. From the outside, the Dokker might look like a simple van, but don't be fooled. Inside, it's designed to feel more like a tiny home on wheels, aimed squarely at budget-conscious travelers, young adventurers, and even families looking for a smarter way to explore without breaking the bank. What makes this launch so significant isn't just a low price. It's the bold claim that Dacia has built a camper that can match, and maybe even outshine, established motorhomes costing twice as much. In this review, we'll break down everything from design to driving performance, and by the end, you'll know whether the Dokker is a genuine RV disruptor or just another budget van dressed up with big promises. Now, let's get into what makes the 2026 Dacia Dokker Motorhome so interesting. At first glance, the exterior design doesn't scream luxury RV. But that's exactly the point. It's compact, approachable, and blends into city traffic far more easily than the oversized rigs you usually see on American highways. The tall, boxy silhouette is no accident. It's engineered to maximize every inch of interior space. And once you step inside, the clever design choices become obvious. The cabin feels surprisingly open for a van in this price range. Large windows flood the interior with natural light, giving it a brighter, more welcoming feel compared to some dark, cramped campers. The seating doubles as a dining nook, and with just a quick fold-and-slide motion, transforms into a sleeping area. Is it as plush as a high-end Winnebago? Of course not. But for travelers who want a balance between comfort and affordability, it's far more than you'd expect at this price point. Technology hasn't been ignored either. The Dokker comes equipped with a modern infotainment system, smartphone connectivity, and a navigation setup that's tailored for road trips. USB ports and charging outlets are scattered strategically throughout the cabin, small details that make long journeys far more practical. Safety features, often overlooked in budget campers, are also present. Lane assist, emergency braking, and even adaptive cruise control on higher trims. That's not typical for this category. But here's where things get really interesting. The performance. Under the hood, you won't find a powerhouse engine designed to haul massive trailers. Instead, Dacia opted for efficiency and balance. The Dokker delivers solid fuel economy, with enough horsepower to handle city commutes and highway drives comfortably, even when loaded with gear. It's not going to tow a boat across the Rockies, but for weekend camping trips or cross-country road adventures, it's more than capable. The biggest surprise, though, is how easy it is to drive. Many RV newcomers feel intimidated by large rigs. The Dokker, however, drives more like a family van than a full-blown motorhome. Tight turns, city parking, and narrow roads aren't nearly as stressful, making a perfect entry point for first-time RV owners. Of course, it's not without compromises. Storage space, while smartly designed, can't match larger RVs. The sleeping area, though functional, might feel snug for taller travelers. And while the price point is impressive, the Dokker isn't aiming to replace high-end luxury builds. It's about offering the essentials in a clean, practical package. Still, when you step back and compare the Dokker to its American rivals, the value starts to shine through. For nearly half the cost of a traditional motorhome, you're getting a road trip-ready camper that covers the basics, adds surprising touches of comfort, and lowers the barrier to entry into the RV lifestyle. And we haven't even touched on the most talked about aspect yet, the pricing strategy and what it could mean for buyers in the U.S. Could Dacia's bold move really undercut established brands? We'll break that down shortly, but first, let's highlight the features that stand out most and the drawbacks you absolutely need to know before deciding. And this is where the 2026 Dacia Dokker Motorhome really shows its hand. On paper, it looked like a budget-friendly camper with modest features, but the real test came once we hit the open road. And honestly, this is where the biggest surprise happened. The Dokker doesn't just drive, it glides. The suspension, tuned for long-distance comfort, smooths out bumps better than you'd expect in a van at this price point. On winding back roads, it feels nimble, almost car-like, a trait you simply don't find in most RVs. The driving experience isn't just passable, it's enjoyable. For first-time RV owners, that's a game changer. Then there's the fuel efficiency. We expected average numbers at best, but the Dokker consistently outperformed rivals nearly twice its size, stretching every gallon further than you'd think possible. In a market where rising gas prices scare off would-be road trippers, this is the kind of performance that grabs attention. But perhaps the biggest shock? When we lined it up against a popular American competitor. Priced at almost double, the Dokker held its ground. Sure, it couldn't match the luxury finishes or cabinet storage, but in day-to-day usability, drivability, and comfort, it didn't just keep up, it sometimes felt better. That's the turning point. This isn't just a cheap alternative. It's proof that affordability doesn't have to mean compromise. For anyone who thought you needed a six-figure budget to enjoy RV life, the Dokker just flipped the script. So is it flawless? No. Space is limited, and tall travelers will feel the pinch. But here's the truth. It delivers far more than the price tag suggests. And now comes a question every buyer will ask. Does the Dokker's value really outweigh its compromises? That's exactly what will settle in the verdict. So after putting the 2026 Dacia Dokker Motorhome through its paces, the verdict is clear. This is one of the most disruptive budget RVs we've seen in years. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. The pros are undeniable. Smart, space-efficient design, surprisingly smooth driving dynamics, modern tech and safety features, and above all, affordability that lowers the entry barrier into RV ownership. For first-time buyers, young travelers, or families who want the RV lifestyle without spending six figures, the Dokker feels like a dream made real. Add an impressive fuel efficiency, and suddenly long road trips don't look nearly as expensive as they used to. On the downside, space will be tight for taller travelers. Storage is limited compared to full-size RVs, and it won't replace the premium comfort or luxury finishes offered by American heavyweights like Winnebago or Mercedes. If you're looking for a rolling five-star hotel, this isn't it. But if you're looking for freedom, practicality, and value, it's hard to argue with what Dacia has delivered. In the context of the U.S. market, the Dokker could spark a major shift. Americans are used to bigger, flashier rigs, but with rising costs and changing travel habits, there's room for compact, efficient, and affordable campers to carve out a niche. If Dacia succeeds, don't be surprised if other brands follow suit. And that could mean a whole new era of budget-friendly motorhomes hitting American roads. So, is the Dokker the right RV for you? If you want luxury, look elsewhere. But if you want a reliable, efficient, and surprisingly enjoyable way to experience the open road without draining your savings, then yes, the Dokker could be your ticket to adventure. But what do you think? Could you see yourself driving a budget-friendly European camper across the states? Or would you still stick with the American classics? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit like, share this with a fellow traveler, and subscribe for more deep dive car and RV reviews. Your road to discovery might just start here.